Hey guys, welcome back. Again, forgive my voice. I'm still a little sick here, getting over that. Alright, so exercise 1, our first project. The way this is going to work is we're going to do about 3 of these for this first week, and then take what we've learned and apply it to a much larger project. So what we're going to start out with is Photoshop. And you guys are using different versions. I have Adobe Photoshop CC, so this is going to look a little different for some of you, but all the tools are the same. All the features that we're using are fairly consistent throughout all versions of Photoshop. So getting starting out with this project, first thing you guys are going to need to do is create a new document. So if we go to File and New, and then what we're going to do is just fill this out based on the parameters from our assignment sheet. So I'm going to give this document a name. I usually go with my name so that way I can identify it. It'd be a good thing for you guys to do as well. And then basically what the project is. You could call it exercise 1, exercise, abstract, whatever. And for this project, our document size is going to need to be 12 by 12 inches. If you don't see inches, you can click on these little drop downs, modify that. And resolution, for this project, I'm going to go with 180. I did post up a document that talks about resolution. Be sure to read that and check that out. So all this is set. I'm going to click OK. And what I'm left with is a new document, blank, right here in Photoshop. Okay, so your basic tools that you guys are going to need. Here along the side is our toolbar. We have our selection tools. If you click and hold, it'll give you other options. I can do an elliptical selection. Same for this one here. I can, with the lasso tool, just draw. Or with the polygonal lasso tool, through a series of clicks, make some different shapes. And then close it up. Our next tool is going to be the paintbrush, which is located right here. And with the paintbrush, you can, up here at the top left, I have a custom set of brushes loaded up, but you guys will see a bunch of defaults that you can choose from. You can change the color down here. And you can also affect the brush size up here as well. You can make it larger or smaller. You can adjust how soft the edges are in most cases. And then all you do is click and paint. Our next tool is the eraser. Works just the same as our paintbrush tool. Same features and abilities. You can set a different brush type to it. You can adjust the hardness, the brush size, all that stuff. And then our next set of tools, which are probably the foundational thing about Photoshop, is layers. So if you look over here on the right, this will appear differently for you guys depending on how you've got Photoshop laid out. You can see here I've got one background layer, and I can add a new layer and paint a little bit on it. I can switch back to my other layer, my background layer. Say I want some blue paint to go underneath this red paint, I can go ahead and do that because these two layers are stacked one on top of the other. The way to think about these is as sheets of glass. So I've got these sheets of glass stacked one on top of the other. I can go to one, paint on it, make marks, go to the other one, paint on it, make some more marks, and stack them. I can even come in, I can make more layers, and let's see, say paint some more on this one. Say I want this this pink color to be actually on top of my layer stack. All I have to do is come into my layers palette right here, click, and drag it to the top of the stack. And this lets me go through and reorder these in any way that I want. I can even affect how they interact with one another through these options here. I have an opacity option, and I have an option of changing how the layer interacts with the information underneath. These are always fun to just play around with and see what kind of result you get. Okay, so for this project, using those tools and features, what I want you guys to do is create a unique abstract painting or design. So, just so you guys have an idea of what I'm looking for, I'm just going to run through it quick here. Usually starting out with this, I recommend, if you've never done something like this before, go for something like a 5 shape rule. So 5 layers, and 1 shape on each layer. And think of them this way: 1 shape that's very large, that fills almost the entirety of your canvas, and then gradually going smaller, different shapes moving down until you reach a shape that's, maybe the size of a penny or somewhere near there, like 1 cent. So what you'll do to start out with is creating some shapes. Now I can use my lasso tool here. I've made a selection, closed it up, switched back to my brush tool, and now I can paint and affect how that looks. So here on, layer 5, I've got 1 shape all set up. I'm going to switch to my other layer. I'm going to draw this marquee tool as an oval, and then I'm going to pick myself a new color. And you guys can also use, feel free to look at the different tools. A big shape like this, I may use the paint bucket tool just as a quick way of filling that in. Grab my eraser here. And you're seeing the brush size change on the fly. I'm just using the 2 bracket keys next to the P key. That lets you increase and decrease the brush size. Just a keyboard shortcut. If you're interested in those, run a quick Google search. There's plenty of documents out there that list all the possibilities for speeding up your workflow, and I'll be talking about a few as we progress through the semester. Now what I'm doing here is I'm making a modification to how this tool works by holding down Shift. So when I hold down Shift, it adds a little plus symbol to my cursor, which means that I can now add to my selection. If I wanted to take away from my selection, I would hold down the Option key, which would then let me draw out and basically do sort of a cookie cutter technique on something that I've already selected. Again, another keyboard shortcut. I deselected using Command D or Control D to deselect. And I've got one more layer here. Okay. So here I've got, just sort of a ragtag group of shapes, each on their own layer. So now what I can do with this is sort of start playing around with it, seeing what changing some layer styling does. I can move this layer around if I need to. Just go to my Move tool, make sure that layer is selected. I may want to grab this shape and move it. Another great tool is the Free Transform tool. If you go to Edit, Free Transform, this will let me take this shape, squish it, enlarge it, turn it on its side, rotate it around if I need to, and then to confirm, you just confirm up here or hit the Return Enter key. So this is basically what you guys will be doing. Go through, start out with 5 shapes at first, varying size, varying shapes, varying colors. Stack them over one another, change around their orientation, see what happens when you take one and move it around, place it over top of another, things like that. And this is a pretty quick process, so once you figure out where all the tools are, go through, try this like 2 or 3 times. Just do like one after the other, sort of play around, have fun with it, get the hang of where everything's located and how this stuff works. So it's a pretty simple project. Give some thought to your composition, try and be artistic with it. Think about how the colors interact with one another, things like that. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. The question forum is up. You're free to ask me questions there, or you can send me an email. I'm pretty good about getting back to emails as quick as I can. So, alright guys, have fun, and I'll see you in the forums.